wonder
Welcome
why
back
I
to
join this
Explosive
show every week. It's terrible,
I do
honestly.
too.
Hi there, guys.
I'm
How are
wondering
you?
myself every day.
What was
Nick,
that
don't
intro?
talk to me. You don't have a beard.
You know what? Thankfully, I'm not the only person this week who doesn't have a beard. Mike,
Thin
I
is
have
on.
a 5
happened?
o'clock
He's-
shadow.
he's
Hey,
12
I
hey.
said
now.
thin.
He's 12.
Thin is on Mike Ice right now.
I have an 8 o'clock shadow.
8 o'clock shadow.
I have a 24-hour shadow.
24
I have a 0 o'clock shadow.
That's fair. Mike, how does it feel to have a free color now?
A free color. No, how do you feel now? Because
I asked you first.
no. So I guess in terms of me driving around the bay and seeing at least like 40%, maybe 40% white, 40%
Yes.
silver, and then 10% black and red or whatever. There's going to be way too many Midnight Silver Metallic Model Ys and I guess Model 3s as well roaming the streets
Yes.
now. It's a good color, fantastic for when you're trying to hide dirt. I definitely recommend it, Drew, for if you're considering that color as one of your free colors as a potential Model Y buyer.
We would be way too close, I think.
What are you talking about?
So-
You're gonna get,
It's
yeah.
It's already weird that we would both have Ys. The idea that we would both have the same color Y. That's
You just got to
odd.
get
Drew,
Uber turbine
Drew.
wheels, Drew.
Hang on. This is
Yeah.
this is
Or
such
the
a
air rings.
non-argument. It's like we're all four of us go to a restaurant and like, hi, I'll have the filet mignon. Oh, I was gonna get that. I didn't know I was taking away your food.
We do this with phones. I do it with phones every year with you and
Well, that's
Nick. I'm
different.
like, what-
Phones are expendable. A car's gonna be with you for maybe life.
yeah, and
That
dude,
means I'm gonna be close to Mike for life if we have the exact.
I can
same,
move away.
like,
I'm sorry, I'll move away, Drew.
Wow.
I'll just
no,
get
it's
outta
not a
here.
proximity thing. It's a product ownership thing. Like I like that Nick has a silver, Randy has a what is it, Sierra blue, Mike has midnight green. Like we can't all have the same. This is my nice way of saying I don't like midnight silver very much.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Okay. Well, if you like cleaning your car, then you can stick with the white that's been free for so long now.
I don't like cleaning my car, but
You
I
shouldn't
also don't like
get
midnight silver.
you shouldn't get white strictly because you already have a white car.
I should or shouldn't?
You should
I
not.
didn't catch that.
Yeah,
Oh,
switch
okay.
it up.
Mix it up. You should mix it up.
I've seen the midnight silver so much already.
I'm not saying get
Like,
that. I'm saying spend the extra
Oh.
money and get the red.
Spend the extra money. Oh, you just completely lost.
Just pay
my-
$2,000.
Wait. Those new colors in Berlin come to California or come to the States by then.
I hope so. I
you
want to
get-
see what those colors actually look like. I don't like
me
crimson
too.
red. I want to see mercury silver. That sounds interesting.
Same.
And abyss blue.
Maybe it's like
I'm
this
not a fan
silver.
of the.
The abyss blue
How do we
looks
know?
amazing as opposed to this crap blue we have now.
For the record, we don't know what abyss blue looks like. We've only seen the name referenced in software, but it's
Well,
not
the
confirmed.
concept of what it looks like. If it looks anything like this periwinkle blue iPhone, I'm for it.
Ooh.
It's like
I don't
gunmetal.
like baby blue, but it's funny that they've raised the price so much that Mike's Model Y is still, even though he has the free color, he still got it way cheaper than it would cost to buy it again.
And I'm an early adopter as well. I'm a low VIN
Yes.
Model Y owner. And
This is not what the Model 3 owners experienced. They paid a premium to be early adopters, and then it got cheaper. But now it's bouncing back. Now
it's bouncing back to launch edition.
So
which is
basically,
insane.
no one should buy Teslas because what you're saying is they change stuff up so frequently that they're terrible products, and that people need to get the far superior Blue Cruise available on all of the new Chevy products.
Cruise.
It's going to be
The
great,
Chevy-
folks.
Nope.
Chevy.
It's going to almost turn on the highway.
Oh, man. Amazing. Everything you just said was wrong.
Just as long as it has a yoke. If it
It's
has a
amazing how
yoke,
you
I'm
can
fine
say
then.
so much wrong in a single phrase.
First of all, Blue Cruise is delayed, isn't it?
Is it delayed?
I read they postponed it till next year.
I talked
to
with
get
my
it right
friends in the
because
Blue Man group, and they said it was on track. So
How many
think
friends do you
we're-
have
I
that
read
are
that-
celebrities?
I read that they delayed it because
You
it wouldn't turn.
Oh,
It would go straight on the freeway, but as soon as there was a turn, it didn't know what to do. But it's basically just as good as Autopilot, guys. Trust
Yeah,
me.
no,
Oh,
I
no.
assure you.
No.
On the
At
six
least
streets it
mine
works on.
does a turn and then just decides not to do the turn.
Yes, I saw that video you sent. I want to know what the neural net was thinking on that turn, because I've made that turn myself. I know exactly where you were driving, and
Creepy.
that's a tight turn.
No, Nick, you don't have room to talk.
Nick
Right
can't say things
sentiment,
are creepy
wrong
anymore.
person to say it.
Okay, fine. Mike, say that.
No, I'm
All
gonna
I mean
say I'm gonna describe
It's
what
like a
happened.
Isn't it like a 200-degree turn?
Okay,
It's
so
really
if you're
tight.
coming from if you're going south and then you're turning onto it, it's tough for the vehicle because it's like you go up a little bit and then you go down.
Yes.
Like it's a little
Yes.
hump right where the stop sign is. And so
Right.
it's tough for it right there because if it'll get close to it, but then it'll think it's like a cliff or a hill. It'll say, never mind, I'm just going to keep on going and then I'll do a U-turn and then try it again. But on the going north side and trying to turn into it, it
No,
usually
that's not hard.
it usually does it fine, but for this
Yeah.
specific case, which actually happened last night around, I think, 7 o'clock, so it's decently dark, but hasn't stopped the cameras before, it goes about 80 or 90% of the way into the turn, basically on the street that it needs to turn on, and then decides, for some reason, we're not going to turn right anymore. We're just going to go back onto the road that we were at and then go. So, I mean...
Yeah.
I applaud it for actually getting itself back on the road, even after detouring itself almost completely.
It was confident with its mistake.
It's like I said, I think last week or the week before. It's was it confidently uncertain?
Confidently uncertain.
Yeah.
It's a good description. I like that.
It has improved in some cases, or at least it seems like it has with approaching intersections. Isn't as tentative as it used to be last week. But in other cases, like the turn that I just described, it used to be able to do that, and now it's having trouble. Even slowing it down to 6 miles per hour doesn't really help. It just makes the wheel spin a full 360 degrees about 5 times in the matter of a second or two.
Wow.
And then continue onward with the path that I didn't want to take. But the beta's great, guys.
I wouldn't know.
Of course.
All right, Randy.
Yeah, did you
How
have
many
any
days
luck
are
with
you-
safety scores?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So my Mike and I have been talking offline because for whatever reason, my safety, my unsafe following keeps decreasing by percentage. My safety score doesn't move. So we did some rudimentary math to figure out how can I get to 98 the quickest, because I'm still sitting at 96. At one point I was at
You have to
97.
buy a new car.
I had to buy a new car. Oh no. So
He'll do it though.
You know,
I
Randy,
have to-
Midnight Silver Metallic just became a new free color on the Ys and 3s.
I love that color and I love the Y, but I love my 3 more. So I think I'm not gonna get it by Sunday, unfortunately. If it rolls out. However, thanks to Mike's help, I know the path I need to take every single day, and I just need to get a perfect 100 for the day for about 15 miles every day, and I can get it in 6 days now. I can get it in about 6 days. However, even within the 15 miles, it dinged me for a hard brake, which I refute saying it's not a hard brake, and it dinged me for 1% of a hard brake, and it took me from 100 for that day down to 98. So I'm still shooting myself in the foot somehow.
I'm just imagining Randy doing all this rigorous driving, and he thinks it's totally fine. He doesn't have a problem. He's
Like
slamming the
James
brake
Bond
and
going through.
And come on, I'm walking here. Yeah, I'm
he's
driving
like drifting everywhere, and he's like, "This is perfectly safe. I don't
It's
understand."
I
like
saw Vin
Tokyo
Diesel
Drift,
do it
like
once, and it looked
missing people
cool.
by millimeters, like in the middle of the. If you guys know the scene, it's like where the in Tokyo Drift, where the car's
Yeah.
drifting around
Tokyo!
the people, almost missing
He's like-
people.
There were inches between me and the guy in front of me. I don't understand. Why does it keep dinging me?
There's a scene in Ace Ventura where he flips his Jeep and it lands perfectly right. Boom! Like a glove. That's me. When I'm
How
trying to
does
make a
your
turn.
safety score get affected when you flip? That's my question.
Should be fine.
I think it just takes me out of the beta completely. It's like, you're done. Give me the beta.
You don't even get a score.
I don't. No.
You failed.
Tweet us at your lowest safety score numbers. I want to see how low these can get.
I think a guy in front of me.
I have a 0, Drew. Do you want to? I'll send you a screenshot of it.
No, actually, you have 100.
Yeah.
Technically, everybody has 100
Oh, it's
until you start
100?
driving.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But the reason why no one else is getting beta is because you need to drive at least 200 miles. So, yeah.
200. Wow.
I'm pretty sure you can go to any like circle racetrack when they're closed and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna give you $300. Let me drive around your course for 200 miles and not brake and not do any hard turning, and then you'll get your beta."
I don't think it works like that.
It
Aw,
doesn't.
really?
No.
You'll still get dinged.
So what I calculated for Randy is that he's driven like about over 1,000 miles on the beta so far at this
wow.
point. And currently right now I think he has an average of like a 96. And so if he gets 100s for, I think when I calculate the next 9 days straight,
Yeah.
he'll get up to 98 or 97.5, which rounds up to 98, which gets him into the beta.
So what you need to do is you need to appear before the High Court Wario and have a few thousand of your miles expunged from
my
your
God.
record, Randy.
High Court Wario. Oh, come on. So, here's the thing, though. If I just keep getting 98s, I'll still have the beta by Christmas.
It's about by
Yay,
December
okay.
17th, I believe, is what I calculated. So
Yeah.
Good. For Christmases, the feature.
I promise you, I have every intention of getting, like, yesterday. I'm sending you guys a screenshot. If you want to throw it up on the thing, Nick.
No,
you
I
don't
don't.
have to. All right.
he hasn't passed.
All right. Well, then this is
That
this is
require
just for you
work
guys.
and time
Yeah. So
and
I
effort.
had to slide that video in last week for both tech and EV. It was terrible. It's like, why am
That
I
was
doing
terrible.
this to myself?
You still have a
So,
vehicle for what?
it's my intent to not get anything lower than a 98, but I think I know a new route I can drive that has minimal traffic. So,
Good.
I'm gonna avoid
driveway.
the interstate from now on, and I'm just gonna take some long back roads that are technically still highways, but they're just smaller, like 2-lane highways, and I'm gonna use those. And that 17 miles that I showed you guys is going straight from my house, going to the first stoplight, because the highway turns into like an intersection, and then I make a U-turn. So I'm going to take this route, and I did a detour, and I think that's where it hit me for the hard braking, because I came to a quicker stop to pull into a parking lot to turn around. I'm just going to make a U-turn at the intersection, and that will log me 17 miles. And I think if I can get 100 now, going forward, which I'm going to drive like a grandma. I don't care what anybody honks or gives me the bird, whatever. I think if I can get 100 between now and until my score goes up, it might not be in 8 days now, but I suspect I should still get it before next podcast. Is that a fair assessment, Mike?
It's possible.
Maybe next time I'm on the podcast.
There we
Okay,
go.
yeah, because Drew will be out next week, but if not, yeah, maybe by the time you get in 2 weeks, for sure 2 weeks. Brittany and I have already agreed that we're not taking my Tesla anywhere for anything except me just logging miles and trying to get the score for 15 miles, and that's it. We're strictly using her Yaris and my brother's Honda. So yeah, it's strictly me just trying to cheat the system, because I think it's that broken that I have to resort to technicalities. And this is,
It is
I hope
very
it get,
broken.
I hope it gets addressed for future issues where, like, say, like the insurance. You know, like, I don't think this is a right assessment for it, because now I feel like I'm in school studying for a test. I'm just trying to get the right answers, and I'm not really retaining the information. I'm not learning anything from this. I just feel like I'm finding my hacks, because this is it's not It's not accurate. It's broken. There's a lot that I don't agree is not being taken into consideration. But be that as it may, I am playing the game, so I'm playing it by kind of my own rules, or at least my own method of it. And I just want to get this sucker. 'Cause here's why I'm a little cranky about it. Because Mike has said the moment he got the beta, it didn't matter. And the beta, the FSD, is behaving worse than a normal driver is trying to get the beta. And I feel like that's backwards logic. So,
Randy, my following distance is at a 7, and it follows cars at 2 or 3. It doesn't care about the follow distance anymore on FSD
oh
beta.
my god.
It's
That's crazy.
insane.
So
Even
that's
so,
like
mean.
trying to kill people is what you're saying, Mike. My goodness.
nope, I'm not saying that at all. You are putting words into my
I'm
mouth,
saying
Mr. Celebrity Man.
People should stop buying Teslas. I agree with that part of what Nick said.
So Drew can get his quicker.
No, because
Yeah,
Hertz
I
needs
want
to get
one.
theirs. Yeah, that's what you mean, right?
But too many other people want one, and that's driving the price up and the delivery times out. So I'm just like, stop buying these things, people. Please.
How do you feel? Actually, Drew and Nick, since you guys aren't owners right now, how do you guys feel that the constant
rub it in.
price adjust? It changed again since last week. It keeps changing. I think it changed
did?
twice.
Since
Yes.
yesterday.
Yeah, it's
Since
$1,000
yesterday-
more expensive now.
It
Model
keeps
3 now
going
costs
up.
Model 3 now
Fully
costs
subsidized.
45 for a. Oh, I'm sorry. I was about to
Rear-wheel
say
drive.
standard range. Yeah, rear-wheel drive.
No more standard range.
It's just Model 3, baby.
I'm 99% sure that's LFP now, though. I'm pretty dang confident. As a shareholder, I'm happy.
Yes,
As
sir.
someone in the market, I'm annoyed. I totally get it, though. They basically have no reason to keep the prices the same, other than to please me and no one else. Well, I guess people who may be saving up would be pleased by it. But if everyone keeps ordering these things at their current prices, they're going to keep raising them until people stop ordering them. Otherwise, we're just going to continue having this progressively worse backlog of 10 months, 11 months, 12 months. So there's no reason to keep the prices the same. From like a business perspective, I get it.
There's just no
I just
stopping
wish-
it. The growth keeps
Yeah.
going.
I just wish they would. Honestly, I would rather them not sell an LFP Model 3 and instead sell a LFP Model Y for like 51, 52,000, because I feel like the margins on that would be way thicker than the rear-wheel drive Model 3. People would be upset that there's no longer a cheaper Tesla, but the Model 3 is not using the giga castings or the, unified, simplistic manufacturing design of the Y. So I feel like that's what Tesla could do that I think would help them and help me. So that's like my fingers crossed scenario, is that they make a standard range Model Y. It can be way more than the 3 for all I care, but as long as the margins are good and there's a cheaper Y, because it's crazy to me that we started this year with a $40,000 Y, and now the cheapest Y is $58,000. It's literally 18 grand more within 10 months, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's
crazy.
insanity.
Yeah,
but it
that's
says a
crazy.
lot about how
Inflation.
many. I don't know if inflation is the sole reason, but it's
That's the
certainly
chip
not
shortage.
helping. Yeah. I like that there's a chip shortage, but they keep delivering record numbers. It's like,
It just means
Is
no one can
there-
get Fords.
yeah. Because when Ford doesn't have chips, they just say, okay, I guess we're not making as many cars. When Tesla doesn't
Fools.
get chips, they find other chips and reprogram their software to work with the other chips. So they're creative about it, which I like. So
It's not far-fetched to say at this point that Tesla is basically a god.
I don't think basically. I would say literally or undeniably.
The amount of power that Tesla has is like, there's a chip shortage. Tesla Inc. And they just keep
My
moving.
question, I have a question on my mind that I'm curious of your guys' opinion on. How
Okay.
high do you think these prices will go? Because at this point, I don't think it's stopping.
Oh man.
I mean, how many $1 trillion coins are they going to make?
Really?
I think 2 is what they're talking
Yeah.
about, but it's going to
Oh,
go
okay.
high, very high.
It's one way to like. This will cost a lot less money than printing a bunch of 100s. If we're just going to manufacture 2 coins. Each coin is $1 trillion, and it sits in a bank.
Is it far-fetched to say at this point and this goes against everything I feel as an investor, but is it far-fetched to say that buying a Tesla might be an investment?
No. I don't think it's far-fetched, considering the resale value has pretty much just gone up for all used options, as far as I can tell. Even crappy ones. Like, there's a person who bought a standard range Model Y for $42,000, and they're now selling it for $60,000. I'm sure that did better than the S&P 500 in the last 10 months.
At what point
Daytona
should
500? What?
At what point should I treat my Model 3 like gold or silver or Bitcoin?
The day you got it.
And just turn around and
painted
sell
that
it.
thing dark green.
It's not painted, Nick.
I would say off the record, since no one's listening
no one
to this.
listens to this show.
No one listens to this one.
If you're moving overseas, or you're gonna live in a place where you can't take the Model 3 with you, then I guess I could justify selling it at that point.
And Drew would regrettably be offering to purchase it for, I don't know, $20,000. It's not worth
He's not
that
interested,
much, right, Drew?
He's not interested in my model. There's nothing about mine that he wants. Trust.
If
There's no
the
USB-C.
price was super low,
it's
yes,
terrible.
but
There's no reason to get
that's it. That would
The-
defeat the point of selling it. So
Right,
that
yeah,
won't
yeah.
happen.
Yeah. No, as your friend, I would say don't buy my car just because you'll have better options.
Okay.
Better bang for your buck. Okay, I'll buy it.
No, okay.
Okay, I'll
Now,
buy
if I move
convinced
to
me.
New Zealand, then that's an argument for Drew to get the Model Y immediately.
it. Why New Zealand?
Like your Model Y? Is that what
Yeah,
you mean?
mine. No,
Oh, okay.
just a Model Y. He's like, I
A
need
Model
content.
Y. He moves to New Zealand. Like, what price point do you think they'll say, okay, this is high enough, we can't go higher?
I don't think that's possible, man. I think
that-
because
yeah.
tech is driving it.
Mm-hmm.
Literally and figuratively, the price and the vehicle, tech is driving it, and it's really
It's
hard to
driving it.
It's hard to put a cap on tech.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know. Okay, I'm trying to play the game just for the show. I would say Model Y 70, because Model Y could be treated like a luxury vehicle, and that's a fair price. 70. I would say 70. I'm
Yeah.
saying that just
That's
to add,
reasonable.
to throw a number out there. Personally, I
Uh-huh.
think it'll keep going, but I would say cap it at 70. And this obviously means everything else is also adjusting to the same rate. It's not catching up to the X or the S. Those will also increase. But I say as these vehicles start to move into more a luxury price point with the technology and the capabilities of it, 70 is a fair entry point for the Model Y. For the Model 3, I guess 60. Maybe offset it by 10 grand.
Dang.
Yikes.
That
I'd be very curious of the sales numbers if they did that. I just like, part of me is like, that's so crazy, and the other part of me is like, yeah, they'd probably still sell.
it would.
Keep moving.
I have a very heavy thought on that and why this is selling, and this is maybe an economic thing. And I don't think I'm far-fetched. I don't think I'm too off the mark here by saying it, but I think us as a society are just becoming a little bit more finance-wise, like we're just a little bit wealthier, and I think we've all become more financially literate, and what that does for us as an economy is it helps us, know where to save money and know where to spend it. And I think when it comes to these types of vehicles with this type of tech, it's not like a necessity for anybody to get these cars right now. And so I think with people who are just having more money in their pocket, it's driving. Like, I can't say the Model 3 right now or the Model Y is for for a lot of friends and family that I have back home, that that's not, they're not interested in that stuff. It's still too early. But for who it is, the enthusiast, thank God. So, but for who it is,
we need as little people interested as possible.
It's not gonna. But I don't think that's the thing. I don't think it's gonna stop, because the people who it's for right now, the enthusiasts, the people who are following this stuff with like it's their job, and partly I mean that literally. Those people might have themselves in a circumstance where they're able to be in a situation where they can get these vehicles, whether it's leasing them or buying them, or taking out a loan. It does, at that point, how you get it doesn't matter. You're still in a position where you can get it and still live. And I think it's really captivating that market first, and those people are coming out of the woodworks. We talked about, or we didn't talk about it. So somewhere else earlier this week, we talked about collecting paint, like paintings and stuff like that, and that's like a rich man hobby.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? And that's out of my tax bracket, because I don't understand it. But people will buy and sell art that they'll never see. Maybe now they're putting their money towards things that they can see and use and utilize. And there's more people in those woodworks than it is. You don't have to be a millionaire. It's just those are people who are now they're able to get to this intersection of tech and automobiles, and they like both. And I think we all four of us fit in that intersection ourselves, which is why it's so interesting and captivating, because it's something brand new. And the more focus on it, it drives the price up. So I can't honestly say I think there's a slowing down. It'll be a while before it gets to maybe 70,000 for the Y, but I do think it's going to get there.
What was your prediction, Mike? Sorry.
I was thinking maybe the factory might drive it as well. If Texas and Berlin are able to satisfy the demand, or actually satisfy the supply, which helps with the demand. There could be a turning point, but yeah, if they just keep on selling them like eggs at a supermarket that doesn't have many eggs, I guess that's a very terrible example. But definitely, if I don't know, yeah. I agree partially with Randy in that it could go up to 70,000. I don't want it to.
No.
I think what will help...
You already got one.
Yeah, well, I think what will help is things like the Toyota BZ4X. Competitors that are at least cheaper. Maybe their interior looks terrible compared to the cloth and the weird plastic on the dashboard. Looks nasty. But
that name is hilarious to me.
Yeah, why BZ4X? Like, I get that maybe
mine your BZ. I don't know.
I get that them and Subaru came together to help make this, and there's like the BRZ and the I don't even know what else. I've got no clue how they came up with the name, but what I do know is that the presence of competitors in the market is going to drive down the cost.
Yeah.
So if we get more Subarus and Toyotas and VWs into the market, capitalizing on the customers that wanted to get a Tesla can't because it costs like $70,000, and end up opting for one of these alternatives, it's going to force Tesla to change gear. I specifically think about the case where you get Tesla going into the red, like not going into the positive for a quarter. And that will force them, because it's like, oh, there goes our perfect record. It's going to force them to make a change and either bite the bullet and change some of the interior, or take a cost on, sales, take an impact on that, or something else. But
that's all assuming they catch up on demand, though.
It's hoping that they catch up on demand, but I don't know. It could be a really weird runaway train situation.
Yeah.
Because I would have thought with things like the ID4 coming out this year, that a $40,000 electric crossover with 260 miles of range would have been very competitive with the Model Y or the Mach-E. I've been seeing a ton of ID4s in my area and Mach-E's as well. So I'm seeing these cheaper Model Y alternatives, and I'm like, okay, there's other electric crossovers that people are buying. but that hasn't had any impact on Model Y demand or the price going down at all, because there's basically just not enough people willing to compromise. It's like they want a Tesla, and even if there is a cheaper electric one, they don't want that one. It's the brand, it's the tech, it's the charging network. I don't blame them, because I'm in that same boat too. I don't want an ID4 or a Mach-E, but I wish more people did, for my own selfish reasons, because what Mike is describing would be ironically an ideal situation for me. Is if more electric crossovers came out, more people started buying those instead, so Tesla catches up on Model Y demand, realizes they have more supply than they can meet, so they start bringing prices down to be more competitive. That would be great. Not as a shareholder, but as a customer, that would be wonderful.
As a shareholder, I don't think it's going to affect that much either, because as shown by the customers themselves, they're moving revenue to also really push on the network now. They've opened it up to outside Tesla EVs. They are no longer free for referrals, so Tesla's going to get their money's worth now, slowly, but it is going to start with supercharging, and solar panels is also another component. But obviously, I think those are more niche right now. Maybe somebody lives in an apartment and they can't get a solar panel, but everyone's going to use the supercharging network, Teslas and non-Teslas. So I don't think it's going to hurt, as a shareholder, I don't think it's going to hurt anything to drive costs. It's just a supply and demand issue, and it's funny to see that it feels like Tesla's trying to offset the supply and demand by raising it, and it's like you can't do anything wrong no matter what you do. It's just here it comes, fine, because maybe people are saying these vehicles are still worth more than what they're selling. Still, I'm willing to pay $70,000 or more. What Tesla's maybe trying to gauge, and we're all trying to figure out, is like, does it meet what the value is offering? And clearly, everyone says that they're selling below what value offers to them, which is a very impactful, powerful message. So,
it does make me think about how, Tesla's mission was not to, sell a bunch of $100,000 cars. It was to try to get everybody on board with electric and transition as many people as possible. And even at Battery Day, they detailed, like, long term, we want to drive costs down. The price increases are a short term result of influx of demand and not enough supply, and the factories aren't online yet. So they keep saying the price raises are a temporary thing, not what they want to do long term. But what happens if everyone buying Teslas is willing to pay the extra premium, which is what we're seeing right now, even though Model Y is, I think, $8,000 more than what they said it would be when they unveiled it. It keeps going higher and higher and higher. And if everyone's willing to do that Tesla stretch, they call it, right? Like, most of the people buying Teslas were spending more money on cars than they'd ever spent before. I think Randy and Mike qualify for that, and I'll definitely qualify for that. Yeah. And I think Nick can as well. If he's buying a Cybertruck, that's far more expensive than any other vehicle we've ever bought. So if that ends up being the case, and there's just
a little bit more, but
just a tiny bit. But
wow.
If this is the case, and everyone who wants to get in on this EV transition and they're willing to pay for it, we can say goodbye to cheap Teslas then. As long as there's people willing to pay the premium, they really have no incentive or need to go below 40,000, other than it would be nice for us. But if they're going to sell, if you're going to sell every car you make, would you rather collect 50 grand a car or 70 grand a car, if you know that regardless you're going to sell it? That's why the prices go up in my mind. It's like, if I was in Tesla's shoes, I'd probably be doing the exact same thing.
It's going to be a bummer when the $25,000 model becomes $35,000 or $40,000.
It'll be 40 due to demand. Everyone will be like, "Whoa, a Tesla for 40,000! Amazing!"
What's so crazy is, I think what's really driving this cost up is people know they're still saving money long term with no maintenance with oil, transmission, gas, and as gas prices continue to rise, You know.
Yeah, that's not helping.
That's not helping the case to not get an EV, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy where we've even said this, and many people have said this, that it'll get to the point where just economically it's not going to make sense to get a combustion engine of any kind. You just get an EV and call it a day. It's going to save you money, whether that means you're paying the premium up front, or it might even get to the point where it's like, even as the longevity goes out, you're saving money regardless. And I think the rest of the automobile industry is affecting this as well, to include rising gas prices, to include other EVs coming into the market, and the fact that their range is what people would say, it's too small. Look at Tesla's, the range is too small, so I'm going to go with the Tesla. Like, all these little variables is just making that snowball effect where it's just not stopping Tesla. Because Lucid just did their thing, right? And now we got another player officially out there.
Oh yeah, Lucid deliveries started. I don't think we talked about that.
Yeah. So now that that's out there, they are the premium. They market themselves as the premium of sorts. But when you do a comparison, then it just makes more sense. People would want to lean towards a Model 3 or a Model Y, you know, and it's great that they're out there, but I think everything just drives the point home that's like, oh, you're just better off getting a Tesla because they have the infrastructure, they have the battery, they have something in your spec. They just don't have it in your ideal price range anymore, but they have something for everybody based off of what your needs are, and no one else really offers that.
Did you guys see Peter Rawlinson say the 4680 isn't a big deal?
Mm-hmm.
I
didn't.
rolled my eyes so hard.
I don't listen to BS.
That was hard to hear.
Just kidding. No, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
I was like, what do you think you are if the 4680 isn't a big deal? What does that say about
the 500-mile range EV is what he thinks he is.
That's a big deal.
But then you get reduced floor space, floor space for your passengers.
And it's $170,000. No, that's a big deal, though. That makes a difference.
It's a big deal because no one's going to buy it. It's a big deal because it's a big old price tag. At least people are smart when they decide to go with X's or S's. At least they're smart with the pricing.
Yeah. They're getting pretty close at this point. But they put a magazine in the front of the Dream Editions that said Elon's Nightmare on the headline, on the front cover. And I was just like, oh, guys, don't do that. Oh, it's like you could have just put, like, you know, great new, 500-mile range EV. You didn't have to bring Elon into the front.
Your insecurity is showing.
It was.
Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't think that was a good move.
No.
But I hope they deliver more and more cars, but just focus on yourselves, guys. Don't Elon would laugh, I think, really hard if he saw that.
He's laughed really hard for less, so
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we didn't get a little, laughing emoji on Twitter from that post, but it's probably because he didn't see it. He just legitimately, he did not.
Elon doesn't punch down.
Well, much.
He's gotten better.
Sometimes there's some down punches, but yeah, he's busy. He's got stuff on his plate.
Sorry, I'm too busy changing the world to pay attention.
How much do you think the Cybertruck will cost, Nick, by the time it launches? Like $500,000 or $600,000?
I was thinking more in the 800s range, but
okay, that's fair.
We'll see.
They'll deliver like 10.
Yeah, they'll probably deliver 10, still make a few $100 million off of it, but it'll be expensive.
Right.
I don't know. It really depends on when they release it. If they release it anytime soon, then with any luck or success, we'll will have a slightly sane price, maybe around 80 or 90,000. But if they wait much longer, like in 50 or 60 years, like everyone's saying it's going to be, Lord knows where we're going to be at that point. We'll probably be on Bitcoin or Dogecoin as the official reserve currency of the world.
You might want to
measure it in
financial
Mars
advice,
coin,
but
maybe. That's probably what.
Yeah.
What's
Whatever
your
crypto of the future.
What's your non-financial advice? Just get that instead. Wait. Get
They'll
your,
accept Dogecoin for the
get
Cybertruck, probably.
your Sheeb coin.
Oh,
Okay,
right.
sheep.
Now it's Sheeb.
Yeah.
I kind of hate cryptocurrency, to be honest with you. It's kind of annoying.
Well, everything else is kind of gamey right now. There's very, very few that are kind of taking the blockchain seriously. Everything else is just meme culture, which I mean serves as somewhat of a purpose, but
Builds hype.
I mean at least they're relevant on like
It does build hype, but it's all very temporary. It's all like
course.
1 week it's Bitcoin, now it's all Dogecoin, now it's all Sheeb, now it's all that. Like it just moves so fast too. Now let's all buy this. It's like a fashion industry. It's like, oh, those aren't in anymore. Oh my god, you still
everyone's-
have that one?
It's a new
You
version of
still have
playing the lotto.
G&E?
G and me.
I heard they were doing well.
I bet.
I mean, that's not a coin, but
Meme culture has very powerful.
yeah, I don't view it as decentralized currency. It's just centralized around Elon instead of a government.
Yeah. The
It's like
moment
if Elon likes one tweet with Sheeb coin in it, then it's wow! Oh my god!
the moment there's an ETF for like Doge or whatever Elon endorses. Actually, if they just make an ETF around Elon, I'm sure that would be.
Have they not?
No, they've done an
I've heard of Elon coin
Elon coin.
or Elon Doge.
Does he endorse it? No. Once he does,
No, but
I don't think he can
It doesn't
for
take much.
legal
Yeah,
reasons. I don't think he can.
If he does, then he can't openly pump stuff. Besides Doge.
I feel like he's already pumped so much, though. Like the government hasn't figured out how to regulate this yet. It's too confusing.
The closest they did
Can't
is
figure
did an
out how to
ETF.
regulate Elon is what they can't figure out how to do.
Well, they can't. They don't understand that Facebook didn't make the iPhone, so
This
it's
is
hard
true.
to teach them how cryptocurrency works.
So Tim Cook, tell me about the Google Play Store. Well,
Right.
Madam Chairperson.
Well, he
no.
no. The closest they do is they did an ETF for Bitcoin that tracks it, and so now there's that which kind of gives validity to it. I don't
Hertz
know.
buys 100,000.
Everything else is I don't know. I think that's the whole point of this whole thing is that like you can't control us, and there's some truth to that because they can't. They could try to regulate it in their own sectors of finance, but they can't. And I think Tesla is gonna come out at some point. I don't know when. I think I feel soon enough. Maybe within 12 months. I think Tesla's gonna come out again and use Bitcoin as its official, like, hey, we are accepting Bitcoin, and they'll do all Bitcoin transactions again, and kind of show that validity. When they had to make that statement earlier, was it earlier this year or last year? I don't know anymore.
I believe it was this year in regards to sustainability of the coin.
Right, sustainability. That was definitely, as we've speculated, that was. I still feel it was a very legal last. You have to say this and put it as a statement out there. You can't just tweet it. It's an official statement coming from Elon and the CEO of Tesla and all that. And I think that's gonna blow over. And I think Bitcoin is gonna be tied in. I still feel like it's synonymous with Tesla as well. Where I'm getting at overall with this is that it's all in the same universe that it exists in, with what's happening with Tesla as a brand, as a battery, as a network, as a vehicle, and maybe now with a type of currency. How cool would it be that if we ever got to the point that Bitcoin was an actual currency that we use to buy and sell instead of thinking it's going to get value? How cool would it be that is how Tesla is able to offer certain perks, or whether it's insurance or something. And when you buy with Bitcoin, because Tesla can now you deal with that transaction directly. There's no banks involved. There's no government involved. That left to their own devices, that Tesla as a company is able to either provide more to you. There's more value in that transaction now. Maybe it even technically makes it cheaper than how these prices are climbing right now. There's a way to keep it cheaper if you buy through Bitcoin. That would be an interesting business play. You could spend $50,000 right now, or this is the cost of our vehicle, or if you do this amount of Bitcoin, it could be cheaper. The counter to that is that Bitcoin is treated like a stock, not like a currency, and it's just it goes like that. So you could be losing money if the stock or if the Bitcoin goes up. But I see them going back into crypto and using crypto as a form of payment again, and maybe to entice it more, they do offer hey, wait a minute, it's cheaper if I buy through Bitcoin technically, but that's because the speculation is maybe the Bitcoin will become more valuable later. So what's $50,000 now is $35,000 through Bitcoin, but then that's $35,000 of Bitcoin that you don't hold on to watch it grow later. I can see something like that happen. Now, Tesla would be the company to do something like that. They're all in on something like that. So I suspect something like that will happen eventually.
I hope so. That would be nice.
Yeah.
I'd appreciate it.
Do you think they'll make
Before
a Tesla coin?
Cybertruck. Huh?
A Tesla coin.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Why not? Anybody can make one, so everyone can have their own. I guarantee you a bunch of
The
Tesla
GM coin,
bulls would
the
buy
Ford
it.
coin.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just another
Everyone
version of a gift card. Like, hey, use your Tesla coin. It's just another version.
That's true. You can do it with the referral program and stuff. Yeah. What are your guys' opinions on how the supercharging network has been opening up? Because I'm concerned with how the third-party EVs have the charge port in a weird spot, so they basically have to take up 2 spaces every time they use a supercharger. So, in my opinion, they should delay this rollout and not do it until they can start either finding a way to require extension cords or retrofit more of the supercharging network. Like, what do you think the smarter approach is?
They opened up the supercharging network already?
Yeah, in the Netherlands, not to that many. I think they started with 10 supercharging stations, but now you can take any EV there and charge. You do pay a premium. They offered a subscription that gives you a discounted rate per kilowatt hour. But yeah, there's been people with Mach-E's and e-trons, and basically, yeah, any EV can go there and plug in since they have the same connector there already. And they've said that that's where they're starting it, and they plan to roll it out everywhere eventually. I think it's going to be a nightmare in the United States, but it already kind of looks like a problem in Europe, to be honest.
And that's crazy that they're letting people take up 2 spots, though, because I'm not sure what the supercharging situation is out in the Netherlands, but around here especially, it's always full all the time, and there are lines. So
I have a feeling
2
that's why they
spots?
started in
No
the
way.
Netherlands.
No way.
I think my
guess is...
I was going to say, I think the way
are...
that they're rolling it out right now is okay, because they're starting in places that maybe have a good amount of superchargers per vehicle in that region.
Yeah. There's not a lot of lines there.
Yeah. And so it gives them time to figure out, okay, how do we either educate those without a Tesla on how to park their car here, or how do we modify our current network for people that want to use a supercharging system with a non-Tesla. And that's tough, right? You either have to make the cord longer, which means you're going to have to retrofit all these current supercharger stations installs with a longer cord, and maybe have some type of almost like a charge point where it's got a little tension cord on it, so it allows it to be supported while being pulled a far distance just to plug in. Yeah, there might be a little bit of thermal inefficiency, but it's actually not that much if you do the calculation, which I haven't, but I'm pretty confident that you don't lose as much voltage over
Okay.
a smaller distance of like 2 or 3 feet or more.
Mm-hmm.
But for those that, I don't know, I think a nice solution, which I still stand by, is going for more pull-through chargers rather than these stalls. The stalls are nice.
Yeah.
You can put them in the corner of a parking lot, but the pull-through are great because whether you're a different EV or you're towing something or you're large, it doesn't matter. The pull-through stall, as long as it's a certain width and allows for a certain length, you're fine. You just have to pull in whatever way that you have to. Yeah, it might be a little bit inconvenient if you're a Jaguar I-Pace and then you're towing something because you're charging from the front and you've got something behind you, so you're going to be blocking up the lane right behind you for cars to try to get into the pull-through spots. But that's like the worst case scenario, and the inconvenience is just, okay, you either have to go around or you just swerve around. So it's, I don't know. It depends on how Tesla wants to tackle the situation. I'm not too sure. What do you guys think?
It's messy. It's like, do we have as big a problem with gas cars? Because not as many put their, nozzles in the front, like right where the engine is, whereas that seems to be very common for non-Teslas to put the charge port right up near the front. I'm not sure why they like that or why everyone wants to do that, but it certainly makes this whole charge network situation even more complicated. It already was with the different connectors. So now it's like you can pull in to the wrong spot, plug in, and you're technically taking up 2 stalls. So if some Tesla is driving to the Supercharger, they see, oh, there's a stall open, and then they get there and someone's taking up 2 spaces. You hope the person's nice and you can be like, hey, I need to charge. Can you move your car? But they might not be there. They could be off somewhere else. So I haven't seen the situation come up yet, but I know eventually if they roll this out too quick, we'll run into a scenario where there's like a 6-stall Supercharger with 3 e-trons and a line of Teslas waiting to get in because all the e-trons took up all the spaces. And everyone's going to be like, this feels dumb. Which is why I admire Tesla's anti-walled garden approach, but this is kind of my way of saying sometimes the walled garden is pretty nice. People like their walled gardens on occasion. And I think there will forever be a ton of Tesla fans that kind of wish it was walled and they just had Teslas at each charge station. Because there's really not for the most part, I think there's a few ways you can take up a stall unintentionally, but because of where the connector is on Teslas, you pretty much can only charge at a Supercharger the correct way. Like you have to back it in and you have to plug in on the it's the driver's side, right?
Yes.
Yeah, back left.
Yeah, driver's side. So there's not really a wrong way to park that. Like, oh, I'll park to the stall next and plug in there. It's like, no, the cable doesn't reach that long. So it was very thought out for Teslas, which I still admire that about the supercharging network. But once you start, it's admirable. I appreciate them saying, like, we want anybody to be able to charge, but it might backfire, which is what concerns me. I mean, some people were advocating that this is going to help because now they can generate more revenue from the third-party EVs to expand the network. But I'm thinking if the third parties are clogging up the chargers and making it harder for more Teslas to charge, that's not exactly more revenue. That would actually hurt revenue, if anything. So, and you're going to have to spend all the money and time to either develop extension cords or retrofit old charge stations. So that's, if anything, this is just a big headache. But
you know how when we have to call customer support, and if you're like on a premium line of some sort, you get somebody pretty direct. They're here in the United States. They have the same hours as you. And then sometimes you get routed to the other side of the world, and you're dealing with somebody who has no interest in what you have to say. People who don't have Teslas should have to take their cars to a different location in the back alley somewhere.
Randy loves his garden.
I
Randy's
love my
creating
garden.
second-class citizens over here. Look out.
Hey. Baby faces do not get to talk right now.
Okay,
Beards have the
ever
mic.
talk. I mean, come on.
I think here's the thing. I like that they're opening it up because it makes sense for the business model to do it. However, I think the ones that are already established now, the infrastructure that is established now, leave those alone to be for us, and because they're still building, build the new ones to accommodate a newer design. You know, because we have questions about the Cybertruck too. How's it going to work for the Cybertruck? How's it going to work for the Semi? The Semi might have to go to a gas station that has, like, in the far back, they have the diesel pumps for the semis, and then they might have, and they have EVs back there too. I know I've stopped at these places when I'm driving down the 5 and going from North Cal to SoCal, and I go into these truck stops, and they have EV stations in the way back for the supercharging. They might have to do something special to accommodate semis, to accommodate the truck. They're not
Mega
doing,
chargers.
They're not doing it right now because they're not out. But I'm sure, I trust they will have that resolved by the time this happens. Likewise, when you start building more. No, you don't think so?
Nope, I don't think so at all. I think they're going to be late. They might be early on rolling out a whole bunch of superchargers for the masses, but it's going to quickly backfire because the amount of Teslas that are being bought right now is likely going to catch up to the amount of superchargers that can accommodate a certain number of Teslas in a given area. And I think the same is going to happen when the Cybertruck is on the horizon, is they'll be like, oh, we need to roll these out now, and they're going to be too late.
I think semis will have like a special port, a proprietary port.
They better have
that's-
their own.
Oh, the
Supercharger
mega charger,
network.
yeah.
All of
That's
those people who
confirmed.
just have Model S's, Model 3s, Model X's, and Model Ys, they can go charge at the behind the shack charging port with all of Randy's other friends. This Cybertruck better have their own supercharging network, complete with stainless steel charging
Cybercharger.
locations. The Cybercharger, pull-through stations with a little robotic snake arm. You don't even have to get out of the Cybertruck. You can road trip for
Ooh.
thousands of miles sitting inside the Cybertruck.
The snake arm would be cool for the Cybertruck.
Exactly.
It would fit in.
Okay, see, this is why
It looked like Doc
your
Ock.
class, Randy, is now second class. I'm the first class with the Cybertruck.
I accept
Cybertruck
this.
will have like 10 chargers.
I accept
Yes,
this,
actually,
Nick.
It's not a bad idea.
Most of my charging is done at home, so that's okay. I accept this.
Yeah.
I don't care. I think it's a bad idea, or not a bad idea, but I think it's going to be an issue. To answer your direct question, Drew, I think it's going to be a big issue. I think it's an issue now for populated areas, metropolitan areas. It's already a line. There's already people don't get out of their cars because they don't want to lose their spot, or they don't want to get dinged an idle fee, which is quite it can sneak up on you pretty quickly. And I see Tesla has accommodated where more and more spots I go to now reduce the charging to cap you at 80, and hey, keep it moving. You got to keep it moving. So I don't get the full 90 when I'm commuting, or if I want to juice it to 100, they're like, yeah, nice, not happening. You're going to 80 max, which is fine because the way those things are routed anyway, they're not trying to get you to top you off. They're trying to just get you to your destination, and
Right.
they're doing everything they can to have the rotation move through quicker. Like, all right, in and out, in and out, in and out. You got to go. Move next.
So, I guess my question comes down to why now? Why did Tesla feel the urgency to do this now instead of waiting 5 years when their supercharging network has capacity? I mean, why?
It's a good question.
That is a good question.
Elon's been referencing it for years, saying like we're gonna
He's
start
been
allowing
referencing
it.
the Cybertruck for years.
Well, one requires a factory, one requires a software update. It's very small.
I don't know. This
detail.
is just a simulation. Elon, update the simulation with the Cybertruck, please.
Cybertruck is just a software update. Yeah, I think that is a good question though, because like what why couldn't they have started with this when they started rolling out the superchargers in Europe? If this was the plan all along, why not like optimize for non-Teslas from the beginning? I don't know. That's a really interesting question, but like I think maybe the best way of going about it is just allowing it in very low populated superchargers that are known for like never having lines, which is probably like these 10 stalls in the Netherlands. It's like every picture I've seen of a non-Tesla charging is they're by themselves. There's like one Mach-E and then no one else is there, or there's a e-tron and no one else is there. So I'm like, okay, in those isolated instances, you know, it makes sense, because I also can imagine the scenario of someone driving their non-Tesla around and they wanted to stop at a EVgo charge point and it wasn't available. They're like, oh crap, I can't charge here. I'm low on battery. I need to get somewhere, but I can't charge anywhere. And then you stumble upon a conveniently placed supercharger and you're like, okay, great. And then you plug in and it's like, sorry, we don't support your car. So that person is stranded and they have to call a tow truck because Tesla didn't want to support their charger. So putting them like only opening it up at charge points that are isolated and like all by themselves instead of high traffic like superchargers that have frequent lines, that's probably the best way to go about it. That way Tesla can say, see, it's not a walled garden. We're open to charging non-Teslas, but they don't have to deal with all of the unrealistic drawbacks of what would actually entail if every supercharger supported every EV.
So what you're saying is it's basically they're only doing it by name. They're like, oh yeah, we've opened it up to other people. Technically.
Right. It's a good headline. It's a good
it's good PR. It's good PR.
PR, basically, if Tesla needed good PR for some reason.
But behind the scenes, they're like, get out of here.
There's like 10 stalls in the whole world that support non-Teslas, but that technically counts.
It technically counts.
We have charged non-Teslas now.
He got off on a technicality.
I just wish Tesla would make it easier. I don't know if they do make it easy, but it doesn't seem like it, to just open up their connector to other companies. Like, let Aptera use the Tesla connector. That way you don't have to fuss around with adapters or extension cords, because then the Aptera can just pull right into the supercharger and plug in just like any other car, and it doesn't have to be this game of.
I thought they did open it up, like they offered to license it, but nobody took them up on it.
I've heard that mentioned, but I've seen several third-party EVs like say they've reached out or want to use that, and then Tesla hasn't responded. I don't know if it's because maybe the fine print of that deal is way unfair, or maybe Tesla says they want to open it up, but they don't really have a process for anyone else. I wouldn't be shocked if Legacy Auto just didn't want to use the Tesla connector, but I could imagine someone like Aptera really wanting to, or
Rivian?
I don't know. Maybe Rivian. I guess they're already in production now, so it's kind of late for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, just making those up, because it's the most common connector. Like, I always see that comment of like, oh, the US is so annoying because they didn't agree on one standard. And I agree, they should have, but if we are going to switch everyone to one connector, it would actually be cheaper and faster to switch everyone to Teslas, because there's more of those. There's more supercharging stations, and there's more Teslas than any other EV. So if we want to go by simplicity, all the other EVs should switch to Tesla's port. But we know how the current administration feels about Tesla, so I doubt that would ever happen. They'd be like, no, Tesla needs to switch to CCS. And it's like, okay, that'll take longer and cost more.
This is USB-C and Lightning all over again.
It really is. You know, the Lightning and the Tesla connector came out around the same time. They were both 2012, I think. And I don't know when CCS came out, but I bet it was near USB-C. It's kind of funny. Except in this case, the Tesla connector is better, in my view.
More plentiful than
It's
the Lightning.
smaller.
It objectively has faster transfer of data, in this case, charge.
I think CCS can do 350, but it hasn't regularly from people's testing. And also it's way bigger and bulkier. It's like super ugly compared to the Tesla's is very compact and easy. CCS is like, here we go, plug in this circuit board.
It's a lot of
Right.
voltage that they're pumping in versus amperage. I think Tesla's is more
Yes.
tuned for amperage, so you don't
Right.
need as much hardware right at the plug.
Mm-hmm. It aged very well. It's amazing that they came up with that connector in like 2012, and we're still using it, and now it's going to do like 300 kilowatts, 350 kilowatts on that same connector that's 10 years old. Like, that's pretty impressive.
It's a sexy
Yeah.
plug.
It is. It's like the smallest. It's the smallest EV charge port I think I've ever seen. I don't, other than maybe like a golf cart, it might be smaller, but
That's a 110.
everything
That's
else
a
is-
110, yeah.
Yeah.
I've plugged those bad boys, and that's just
That
a
doesn't
110. I plug it into
But,
an outlet. Yeah.
Man, I would not complain at all if everyone else had to switch.
Yeah.
It's a fair point to
That'd
say
be-
that there's more Teslas and the network's more established, so move to us. But it's
In
just
this
too
case,
simple.
CCS is the lightning.
In this case, yeah. Even though it's older, it's been around longer.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I mean, I'm not trying to do a complete comparison. Point is, it's a terrible port.
We'll call it Thunderbolt 5.
Ooh. I approve.
We'll just
Is it
have
reversible?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
I hope they're bilateral too.
You accidentally plug in your
Plug it
ugly
in.
MacBook Pro into a supercharger and it charges up in like 8 seconds.
Yeah, I
That's
guess if you
gotta
want
do
your touch
something
bar
to the
MacBook
battery.
to use the same charger.
You plug it in and just like completely blows up the battery. Just
No
to know how to
seven
handle it.
all over your lap.
You just plug it in.
It's amazing Spider-Man 2 status at that point. Just batteries exploding every other second. Or it's just the Chevy Bolt.
Unlimited power. Poor Chevy.
Any bolt, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Bolt the
God.
dog too. Kind of going back, I wanted to mention this as well, or get your guys' idea or thoughts on the fact that the Toyota BZ4X or whatever it's called has a solar panel on the roof.
Oh, it does?
It does.
I missed that. What does it do? Does it just power the infotainment?
No, it's
They
the clock.
didn't.
The clock inside powers the clock.
One clock.
Definitely. They didn't mention
And it still
What?
dims. It's just like, it struggles.
Yeah. They didn't mention how much power it generates, but it's only like on a very
Okay.
small portion of the roof.
Yeah.
And this is on their like X4, so it's like their medium to large CUV, SUV, whatever they want to call it.
Wow.
So it's only going to get smaller if they decrease or if they apply it to their smaller lamp, because they, again, like every other company, are like, here is our skateboard. It is a fantastic, unique skateboard design for our chassis. Nothing else is like it. And we can use it to change the size of it for any other vehicle that we want to make.
Everyone's had that idea so many times. It never turns into anything.
No, I'm looking
Like
at
Tesla did it too.
I'm looking at one of their slides, and it's like corner wheel arrangement. Okay, so the only person the only car that doesn't follow that's the Aptera right now, or the Arkham.
It has 4 wheels.
I guess.
Wow.
Wow. JD Power Award
What a
right there.
platform.
Good job.
Yeah. No, really, actually.
By
JD
real
Power.
people. Wow, this is really something.
There are 4 wheels. Wow.
Great way
I
to
almost thought it was
JD
a
Power
Chevy.
your EV. Is it Toyota that made JD Power famous?
I think it was GMC.
Chevy.
Oh, Chevy?
Oh, that's right.
It was
I forgot.
Chevy. All
There's all
those
these
Chevy
JD Power commercials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are not actors. These are real people. Wow, that
Yes.
is just phenomenal. 3 years in a row. Clong, clong, clong. Wow. That's cool.
What, JD?
Best
I get my check now?
Chevy of the year. Yeah.
Best Chevy of the year.
Best Chevy award.
For 3 years in a row.
definitely-
Chevy's the best
2022
shit.
Chevy has won the best Chevy of the year.
I definitely want more solar on EVs, but I just have so little faith that Toyota made an efficient SUV, so I have to imagine it's probably going to be rocking like a 90 or 100 kilowatt hour pack with a range around 260 miles. And if they're just doing a tiny solar panel on the roof, it's probably at best just going to power like the AC.
But
that would be an
at least you get a optional yoke. So you get that if you really want to get a yoke.
Right.
There's a yoke on it.
They
Have you not
showcased
seen
the
it?
yoke. I saw the yoke and I was like, wow, I didn't realize they could make a yoke that looks bad.
It's also steer by wire.
It's like, I
which
like
is
that.
interesting.
I want Tesla to do more steer by wire, but this is the first yoke on a car I've seen that I didn't really like. It just, I don't know, looks too many buttons, too many pointless buttons.
You'd rather the ID
on that.
Buzz yoke, which isn't even really a yoke; it's a rectangle, a rounded rectangle.
I forget what the Buzz looks like, but the ID 2 or whatever, the concept one that was supposed to be like 25K, that had a yoke, and I thought it looked cool because it had like park reverse drive all on the steering wheel, and I don't know. Most yokes I see I like until I saw the BZ4X, whatever it's called. But
You got it.
I think it would be an interesting measurement to say the Toyota with the solar panel on the roof is still probably less efficient than a Model Y with no solar. I bet the Toyota probably uses more energy per mile, even if it has the sun helping it out. Solar makes a lot of sense on the smaller, more efficient EVs, and certainly the more aerodynamic ones like Aptera, I think, benefit the most. But I still wouldn't mind it if they were just like, hey, here's an option for the Model Y to have a solar roof instead of a glass roof. And now you can get, doesn't have to be much, 10 miles a day from the sun. I'd be like, cool, that's better than nothing. I'll take free range instead of, but just put solar on the house. It's like, no, the car's going other places. The car might be parked somewhere for a
Put
long
wheels on
time.
your house.
Wheels on my house go round and round, round and round.
I think solar on the EV might be easier than wheels on the house. So, no, I just love to leave it parked outside charging up instead of having to plug it in every night.
Yeah,
I'd
but
take it.
are you going to leave your luxurious BZ4X outside with its solar panel?
Yes.
No, I'm gonna leave it in the dump.
Leave it in the
Its
dump.
design is interesting as
Yeah.
well. It's got a weird like two-tone color thing going on. It's got chrome trim. I guess that's something. But
One person will love that.
but I don't think it's got a frunk. I think it's only got a back hatch. So
The goddamn frunk needs to be on my EV. Dang you, VW. We need frunks. Come on.
yeah, it looks like it's
Please.
taking the Bolt approach with having just a whole bunch of electronics up there that can just
Someone likes that, I guess.
all the electronics
It's
that
not
they can
me,
look
but-
at and not touch or
Yeah.
meddle with, I guess.
Just like complicated interiors with lots and lots of buttons.
Oh yeah, that's another thing I don't like is that like on this yoke / regular steering wheel, it's got they even show it like in this prototype or whatever. They're like, look at it, how revolutionary it looks. It's got like missing buttons, or at least like doesn't have labeled buttons, which just makes me think it's gonna carry over to the production level or version of it.
Probably.
And it's just like, why do automakers do this with like, here's a button that does nothing, and even if you try pressing it, it's just a piece of plastic and it doesn't even depress. Like, then just don't have a button there and or add something.
Like Steve Jobs said, they're trying to leave some buttons available for later when they come up with a feature for it.
Never comes though. The feature never comes.
Except it never comes. Yeah, they're just like, well, we'll think of something.
I have two buttons, F5 and F6, and there's nothing mapped to them.
Imagine,
They're
Randy,
unmappable.
if that was a touch bar that didn't have buttons.
No,
that could
listen.
dynamically change.
Nick.
based
I'll
on
save
what
it.
you're
Give us about 15 more minutes before we start the other show. I'm glad I skipped it because I'm confident I would be in the boat with you about not wanting to let it go, but I can't miss what I never had.
Just join right now, enjoy it, and then you can complain with me. You can still go buy a touch bar today, for now.
Become disappointed.
Become disappointed. No, I like being happy, Nick.
Every button on my keyboard has a purpose. I can't say I've used each one, but
Oh, they have a purpose. The purpose is useless, though. F19. F19, the extended numpad
Dictation
keyboard, is
button.
extremely useful for the person that needs an F19 button. I, on the other hand, have never needed an F19.
I just
Now,
mean none of
F15,
mine are
I need those all the
F19
time.
or-
I gotta,
I don't even
keep all the
have numbers that go up that
Yeah.
high.
airspace clear. or
Like
whatever it is.
Randy, on my old keyboard, F5 and F6 serve no purpose. But on my new keyboard, F5 is dictation, F4 is spotlight, F6 is do not disturb, which I do use.
Yeah.
Those,
Oh, interesting.
I will press those.
I
Just
miss
like, the new keyboards.
I miss that F4 doesn't have the open app, your app grid,
Expose.
the expose. I love that about this keyboard specifically, and I know that no keyboard, because it doesn't have it on the MacBook Air, it's now not that. So
Yeah.
that's unfortunate. Anyway,
They do, but it'd be better if it was all a touchscreen.
I'm not gonna
Which
disagree.
is what
I just
Teslas do.
I don't know that life. So
This
Yeah,
is the
Nick's
smoothest
flexing his
transition
keyboard right
into a tech
yeah, welcome
podcast.
to tech.
Another
yeah.
podcast.
I guess we should wrap up. All right, let's closing thoughts, gentlemen.
I'm worried about the Cybertruck.
Oh, there
Oh
it
my
is.
God.
Ding, 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 ding.
Every
Bingo!
week, I'm just like, could we do one episode?
Never.
So-
Despite
almost-
me, you should do it next week. Do it next week when I'm not here.
Just not say it.
Never. Now that you're not going to be here next week, all we're going to talk about is the Cybertruck.
I wanna
Oh my God.
I wanna clickbait the audience so hard, make it look like it's all heavy information. And Drew's got a lot to say, and it's just his Goonies. Nobody's here.
2,000 facts you didn't know about the Cybertruck.
Featuring Drew.
1,373 will surprise you, featuring Drew. Yeah, just clickbait everybody.
I don't endorse this. It's out of my control.
We'll see what happens.
69,420 facts you didn't know about the Cybertruck. Thanks for joining, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good one. See you next week.
Bye.